So yes, this is a history lesson on income taxes, which I know sounds about as exciting as watching paint dry, but I promise I will keep it brief and it's interesting. So most of the information here comes from this tremendous book. It's called Last Call, The Rise and Fall of Prohibition by Daniel Okrent. Highly recommend it, great book. So Americans used to drink a staggering, pun intended, amount of alcohol, the equivalent of 90 of these per year for every adult in the US in the 1830s. And I feel like I should point out, it's not open. Liquor taxes were used to pay for the Revolutionary War, which was the brainchild of Alexander Hamilton, though I don't remember seeing that in the musical, and the War of 1812. But once those revenue holes were filled, the taxes went away. Liquor tax came back for good during the Civil War, and then by the time we reached 1910, $200 million, which is about 30% of federal revenue, came from taxes on alcohol. The Prohibitionist movement, which started in earnest in the aftermath of the Civil War, recognized what they called the revenue issue. No government that was so reliant on income from alcohol was ever going to outlaw it. So the Anti-Saloon League, which was the powerhouse organization behind the Prohibitionist movement, they focused their efforts on a revenue replacement, a tax on income. The Supreme Court had ruled income tax to be unconstitutional in 1895, so the only path forward was a constitutional amendment. Now, there was a lot to loathe about the Anti-Saloon League, but they were savvy marketers and had enough congressmen under their control to get the amendment passed in 1909 and ratified by the states in 1913. And their marketing message to the states was basically, this will stick it to New York. So almost immediately after ratification, the Revenue Act of 1913, which began the shift from tariff-based revenue to income tax-based revenue in the US, was passed. And it levied a 1% tax on income above $3,000 a year, which covered about 3% of the population, and a corporate tax of 1%. And they did, in fact, stick it to New York. About 45% of revenue came from the state of New York. Now, you might be saying, but wait, Prohibition was repealed. Why do we still have income taxes? Well, the people who were the driving force for the repeal of the 18th Amendment were actually not pro-alcohol. They were anti-income tax, and their belief was, we'll get rid of prohibition, the alcohol will come back, we'll be able to tax that, we can get rid of income taxes. But that repeal happened in 1933, which was, of course, the heart of the Great Depression. So the federal government was so desperate for revenue that they kept income tax and then also taxed the alcohol as well to be able to fill their coffers a little bit more. So if you hate income taxes, now you know who to blame. A bunch of killjoy teetotalers from the early 1900s.